Hello everyone. In this video, we'll do the daily current affairs analysis of 5th November 2021. The first topic which we will discuss is about the MGNREGA. It is from GS paper 2 and topic is government schemes. Why it is in the news? According to its financial statements, the financial corpus of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act MGNREGA has been depleted in the current financial year. Impacts: this means that the payments under MGNREGA will be delayed unless governments use additional money to support the MGNREGA coffers. About the MGNREGA, it was launched in 2005 as a social initiative that guarantees the right to work. A key point of this social and labor law is that local and state governments will have to formally provide at least 100 days of wages in rural India to improve their quality of life. Key objectives: generation of paid rural employment of not less than 100 days for each volunteer worker with unskilled work, continuing to ensure community inclusion by strengthening the livelihood of the rural poor, construction of durable infrastructure in rural areas such as springs, lakes, roads, and canals, reduce urban migration from rural areas, building rural infrastructure through underutilized domestic workers. The following are eligible ways to receive benefits under the MGNREGA program. You must be a citizen of India to claim the benefits of MGNREGA. A job applicant has to be completed 18 years of age. The applicant must be part of a local family of that village. That is, the application must be made through a local Gram Panchayat. Applicants must volunteer for unskilled jobs. Program implementation: within 15 days of submitting the application or from the date on which the job is sought, salary will be provided to the applicant. There is a right to receive an unemployment benefit grant in the event that the work is not granted within 15 days of submission of the application or from the date of application. The social audit of MGNREGA works is mandatory to enhance their accountability and transparency. Prelims hot link topics are: under MGNREGA, what are the roles of Gram Sabha, Gram Panchayat, state governments, state food commission, central government, etc. What is payroll? Next is who does social research. Source of this news is The Hindu. Next is about the National Fund to Control Drug Abuse. It is from GS paper 3 and topic is internal security related issues. Why it is in the news? The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has recently recommended that the National Fund Against Drug be used to implement anti-addiction programs rather than only policing services. About the National Fund Against Drug Abuse, it is instituted in accordance with the provisions of the Narcotic Drugs Act and the Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. It has a corpus of around rupees 23 crores. Under the NDPS Act, the proceeds from the sale of any expropriated property or any grants made by any person or an institution goes to the fund. Use of the fund: the law states that the fund will be used to combat illicit drug trafficking, rehabilitate addicts, and prevent drug abuse. World Drug Report 2021: an estimated 275 million people worldwide use drugs. More than 36 million people suffer from drug abuse disorders. The enhancement in marijuana use during the epidemic has been reported in many countries. Non-therapeutic use of some medicinal drugs has also been observed at the same time. According to the latest international estimates, about 5.5% of people between the ages of 15 and 64 used drugs at least once a year. More than 11 million people worldwide are estimated to be injecting drugs, half of them infected with hepatitis C. Opioids continue to account for the heavy disease burden associated with drug abuse. Main reasons for drug abuse: peer acceptance, growing economic pressure, changing cultural norms, neurotic addiction, police inaction, cases of drug abuse in India. According to a report by the National Crime Records Bureau, the report is titled as Crime in India 2020, a total of 59,806 cases were filed under the NDPS Act. In 2019, there were 3.1 crore cannabis users and 2.3 crore opioid users in India. The Indian government has adopted a number of policies and programs to address the problem of drug trafficking. The Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan or India Drug Free campaign was announced on 15 August 2020 in 272 regions of the country that were found to be the most vulnerable based on the data from various sources. The Department of Social Justice and Empowerment has embarked on the implementation of the National Drug Reduction Program NAPDDR for 2018 to 2025. The government established the Narco Coordination Center NCORD in November 2016. The government has established a fund called the National Drug Abuse Fund to cover the costs incurred in the fight against trafficking in narcotic drugs, addiction rehabilitation, and educating the public about drug abuse, etc. So the prelims hot link topics are about the UNODC overview of the International Financial Controlled Drug Assistance Program, structure of the Narco Coordination Center NCORD, National Drug Abuse Fund, about the Narcotics Control Bureau, and also the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Trafficking in Persons and themes this year. So the source of this news is The Hindu. Next is all about the input tax credit. So it is from GS paper 3 and topic is economy related issues. So why it is in the news? GST network had recently said that it has withheld a total tax revenue ITC input tax revenue of rupees 14,000 crore of 66,000 businesses registered under the goods and services tax. So what is the input tax credit ITC? ITC is a way to avoid tax cuts, tax reduction, in simple language, tax deduction. Input tax credit refers to a tax already paid by a person at the time of purchase of goods or services and is available as a tax reduction. Simply put, it means that at the time of paying tax on the output, you can reduce the tax you have already paid on the input and pay the remaining amount. The exception: a business under a composition scheme cannot incur an input tax liability. ITC cannot be claimed to be used for personal or free goods. Concerns about its misuse. There is currently a time gap between the ITC claim and compliance with supplier taxes. It could be an opportunity to misuse a business offer by making fake invoices just to claim a tax credit through the input tax credit system. About 80% of GST's total debt is settled by ITC and only 20% debt is deposited as cash. Under the current period, there is no provision for real-time comparisons of ITC claims and taxes already paid by product suppliers. So source of this news is The Hindu. Next is about the anticipatory bail. It is from GS paper 2 and topic is constitutional provisions. So why it is in the news? The Supreme Court held that a superior court could set aside the expected bail order or the anticipatory bail order if there was sufficient evidence to suggest that matters such as the size and role of defendants in the case were not considered by the lower court. About the anticipatory bail, The granting of the anticipatory bail under Section 438 was introduced when the CRPC Criminal Procedure Code was amended in 1973. Contrary to the usual bail granted to an arrested person on pending bail or the anticipatory bail, a person is ordered to be released on bail even before the arrest is made. So this is what anticipatory bail is. Time frame. High Court, the Supreme Court in the case of Sushila Agarwal versus the State of and City of Delhi 2020 has issued a landmark decision declaring that no time limit may be set for the expected bail application and the anticipatory bail may continue until the end of the case. It is issued only by the Sessions Court and the High Court. So, significance of the anticipatory bail. The reason for the inclusion of Section 438 in the CRPC Act was the adoption by Parliament of the fundamental principle of human liberty in a free and democratic country. Parliament wishes to promote respect for personal freedom and allow for a higher position in the basic law of criminal justice so that everyone is considered innocent until proven guilty. Recent observations made by the Supreme Court on its usage. So the High Courts and Supreme Courts are empowered to grant the accused the anticipatory bail due to the mandate that the Constitution places on the right to freedom guaranteed under Article 21. The granting or refusal of an anticipatory bail application under Section 438 of the CRPC directly affects the right to life and liberty of the individual guaranteed under Article 19 and Article 21 of the Constitution respectively. Therefore, the provision needs to be read openly and considered in its beneficial nature. Courts should not read about the restrictions that the legislature did not give explicitly. In doing so, the Supreme Court may exercise its jurisdiction under Article 142 of the Constitution to pass that order. The need for such protection. The respondent, without being a suspect, may also be the primary caregiver or the sole breadwinner of his family. His imprisonment could leave his loved ones in a state of famine and neglect. In the 1980 case of Gurbaksh Singh Sibia versus State of Punjab, a 5-judge panel of the Supreme Court headed by Chief Justice Y.V. Chandrachud ruled that Section 438 of the CRPC should be interpreted in accordance with Article 21 of the Constitution, protection of health and personal freedom. So the prelims hot link topics are various rights under Article 21, what is bail, what is anticipatory bail, difference between bail and anticipatory bail, and also the difference between judicial custody and police custody, as it was also asked in the UPSC CSC prelims 2021. A question was asked on judicial custody. So that's why these very minute topics are very important, because you will not find these in the standard sources like the Lakshmikant for polity. So you have to do your own research, and that's why the proper analysis of current affairs is very important, particularly for the prelims, because you have to spread your net of knowledge to the widest extent possible. You don't need to go very deep into the knowledge, into the ocean of knowledge, but the net that you are spreading has to be spread to a very large extent on that ocean of knowledge, so that you are able to cover the basics of almost all the topics or most of the topics which are directly or indirectly related to India and the general scheme of things. Okay, because UPSC expects you to be a well-read candidate, and a well-read candidate has to make the differentiation between what is important and what is not important, and on the same time he must be aware of the very minute things also which are not there in the standard sources, but someone who is genuinely considerate about India, he or she must know about those things. Okay, so that's why the proper analysis of the current affairs is very very important. And also the conditional grant terms, time limit for the anticipatory bail, this also you have to study. Next is sources the Indian Express. So next is about the DLX1 protein. So it is a prelims specific topic. So researchers have found that the genetic code DLX1 plays a key role in the growth of the jaw, bone, and interneuron in the brain, it plays a vital role in the growth and development of prostate cancer. So source of this news is the Hindu. Now while you are studying this, you must also study about the basic details about cancer, types of cancer, and which is the most prevalent type of cancer in India. What are the initiatives by government of India, like the DRDO, NASA, for that matter the Bhabatron, which was developed by DRDO as a device to fight cancer, and it was also exported to several other nations. So that's why the proper analysis of the current affairs is very important, because once you see the word cancer mentioned in the news, are you able to analyze that further, that is it related to any of the government's initiatives or any of the larger scheme of things of which India is a part of, or is it related to India on a direct or indirect basis? That's why the proper analysis of the current affairs is very very important. So thanks a lot for watching the analysis video. Have a nice day.